Good news. I repeat, good news today coming from the court that Nnamdi Kanu's case was dismissed. The evidences, the supposed witness, these are all cooked up, orchestrated by the Fulani Janjaweeds, doing everything possible to nail and condemn Nnamdi Kanu. Today, the judge, Justice Omotosho, or whoever the judge who is presiding over that case is, I said that all the cases of DSS, everything is null and void. Permit me to sing one song. Kulu, 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 Temper. If you are a Biafran supporter, sympathizer, or a fan of Nnamdi Kanu and a follower of his gospel, it is clear that the Nigerian government, or shall I say the Fulani oligarchs who are rightly behind this ordeal of Nnamdi Kanu, what they are engaging is they are engaging on exercise that will lead to nothing but futility. They have nothing tangible to bring from this, but just to waste the meager resources of the country. A man that you have held since 2019, 2020 to this very day, the Nigerian court at one time said Nnamdi Kanu won. When the appeal court, they ruled in his favor and they told him, discharge this man, let him pay his bail, and let him go. We know the Attorney General then, a Fulani man, Malami, he said no. That it doesn't even matter if we have to go against the humanitarian rights that is known globally, that this man called Nnamdi Kanu will not be let go. He will be held because he is a threat to the political relevance, to the political exigencies, to the political exploitation of the Fulanis in this contraption called Nigeria. I'm going to show you some videos of Nnamdi Kanu and why you should know that. What are they afraid of? When you listen, and I beseech you, I urge you to please, it's just about 5 minutes. Listen to those words. I took my time to, extract those critical points of Nnamdi Kanu, stating out how they will do everything, right, in connivance with the Western powers, to silence him, to silence every truth sayer in West Africa, precisely the Prince of Africa, which is the Biafra. You see, they did everything to silence this young man. And still this young man, education will be scam. Imagine Nnamdi Kanu wasn't educated, wasn't enlightened, wasn't a man who could articulate his thoughts, his feelings, his expressions. My brother, this man would have rotted in jail. I'm telling you, this man would have been a forgotten story. But whenever he gets the time to be on the media, this man comes with so much grace, so much glory, that the media sometimes will even have to use Nnamdi Kanu to grow traffic. And they tell you, most of these social media, those you go see AIT channels, they go just use the man to chase what? To traffic to their channel. Today at the court, nothing less than 1 million people were streaming live. That is to tell you the amount of influence, the amount of followership. Organically, he doesn't have to pay, he doesn't have to buy their vote like our Nigerian politicians do, the likes of Tinubu and whoever. You hear that they are buying for 20,000, 10,000. This is a man that if he decides to contest as the regional premier of whole Eastern region, he will have a clean sheet. But we know he has said it that he doesn't want to be involved until maybe Nigeria eventually succeeds, because his main goal is not even to have a region. His main goal is simple. If the Southeast cannot be made viable, let them have a seaport, let them have economic freedom. That the Eastern region, the corridor, if that economic Eastern region corridor cannot be liberated, then secession is the deal, and I support it. I sincerely support it. These people cannot continue to be emaciated because their potential, their capacity is being suppressed. There's a suppress them, Look at this sun. They are suppressing it. This is how pressing their neck. And this young man has said that enough is enough. for over 50 something years. Abba, almost 58 years, 59 years. No truth. The Nigerian government have not in any way fulfilled the 3R. You do not want to be a country that says the truth. Other countries that have fought war, they do not lie, they do not hide the truth of wars. In Rwanda today, there are, you see those places, they turn those places that people were pied, during that 1998 Rwanda Tutsi and Utsi genocide. Those places, everything has been what? Monumentalized. They've made it an history. So that when you go there, you will learn that these are the mistakes that we made. So you will learn the history that, oh, this, because some people were feeling the way, oh God. But today, in Nigeria, they are still claiming one Nigerian that is fake. They will say Nigerians and Igbos, everybody are together. But yet, when it comes to politics, they will tell you an Igbo man cannot be trusted. See all the conditions are giving a Peter Obi. Him, he won't matter another day. Look at what they would tell and Ojus of Kanu when he was trying to contest for Senate president. He was even crying, shedding tears, scatter the come for his nose. These are the issues. When the Igbo man wants to do some sort of investment in Lagos, they will tell you, go back to your country. Lagos is for Yoruba. When the Igbo man tries to contest for a political position, they will tell him, Oga, you are not supposed to do this in Lagos. Go back to. And yet, on paper, theoretically, they tell you one Nigeria is the same. These are the lies. These are the hypocrisies. These are the things a Nnamdi Kanu stands for. A man who does not want to compromise with darkness. Simple. A man of grace, a man of lightness, who has said, I will reject to be kowtowed. This is why you see him. He's passing a message. Wearing the Fendi. As you can see on my screen. A Fendi for over 5 years. Many person they wear one cloth for 5 years. White clothes, indelible, no mark. Not one dirty. Of course, because he is a man of what we call commitment, conviction. Is it easy to maintain one cloth for 5 years? Even if you wash am, is it easy? Is it easy? Is it easy to be wearing just one cloth? I've never seen someone would do such a thing. Tell you that everything is getting, people are ready for him. That followership keeps growing. Instead of his popularity to be dwindling, listen, now, the likes of Muhammad Gandhi, right? Those revolutionaries, those are the kinds of people that I see that their popularity never dwindle. I can describe such people with this man Nnamdi Kanu, because this is a man of truth, a man of conviction, and a man that will eventually defeat the Fulani oligarchs. Let's watch the video together. Bye for now.
My name is Nnamdi Kanu. I lead the indigenous people of Biafra. And also, I am the director of Radio Biafra and Biafra Television. And my job and my duty is to serve the people of Biafra up until the restoration of the stolen sovereignty of Biafra land is restored. And also, to an extent, to also serve Nigerian youths as well. I think since the whole protest started, we have been serving them very diligently every morning and every evening. And it is something that we should be able to continue into the foreseeable future, or until all the demands made by the young people are met by ASROC.
Could you tell us about your background, your parentage, schools attended, and all that, please?
Schools attended, my background is quite simple. My late parents, His Royal Majesty Ezekiel Kanu, and my mom as well, Lolo Mbeme. And I went to Lab Avenue Primary School, which was a model primary school in Umuahia, arguably one of the finest. And then I attended the best secondary school in the world, I believe, Fisher High School, then named Government College Umuahia, the same alma mater as Chinua Achebe, Ken Saro-Wiwa, and Cyprian Ekwensi, and a whole host of other people who have gone on to at least make an indelible mark in our consciousness, if not in our society. And then from there, I went to University of Nigeria in Nsukka, where I spent about 2 years, and they weren't doing anything that I felt enhanced my ability to understand what I was there for. I had to travel to England, where I studied politics and economics at now London Metropolitan University. I've worked in various capacities. I'm actually the owner of Alpha Phoenix Consulting Limited in the UK, which is a consultancy firm, an economic development consultancy firm. I did actually work with a lot of people like Genesis and all the rest of them, where I held managerial positions until my calling. And that calling is to help restore the kingdom of God on the face of this very earth. And that's what we've been doing for very many years now.
Fantastic. So growing up, who were your heroes, your mentors?
I think my father was number one. Only two people in my life have seriously impressed me. One was my dad, that I was very close to, that I learned a lot of things from. We never actually spoke that very often, but I used to sit around and watch him conduct his counsel, the way he adjudicated in cases and the things that he did, and most of the morals that he left me with. I remember on one occasion, I asked my father, why is it that even after Sunday service, when we get back home, normally if I go to my friend's house and you ask after their father, they'll tell you that their dad is sleeping or doing something of that sort. But in my house, any time there's a knock on the door, my father will encourage us to open the door. And I kept wondering why. And he said, if you have nothing to hide, then you should be able to answer every knock on the door. That is why you need to keep your hands very clean. And throughout my life, apart from the time that these criminals, these savages came to my house, the police had never been to my house or the army with a hostile intent. Operation Python Dance on the 14th of September of 2017 was the very first time in my entire life that the army or the police entered my house with intention either to enforce the law or to kill or to arrest or to pillage or to destroy, the very first time. So my father was number one. The second person is Thomas Sankara, the late Thomas Sankara, because of how he managed to turn Burkina Faso around from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, and the miracle he was able to perform. For the very first time in living memory, it was demonstrated that should Black people put their minds to something, they can make something out of nothing. From being a basket case, they became the largest exporter of food across West Africa under the, should I say, the leadership of this brilliant, and very brave young man, Thomas Sankara. So just those two people.
Okay, fantastic. I think before we continue, it would be nice for me to ask if this is the real Mazi Nnamdi Kanu or the cloned one.
I can pull my ear for you. You can see I'm trying to exert as much pressure as I can. The clown in Asorok has 2 ears. I only have one. You can see my glasses. I can take it off. You can see there is no other appendage anywhere behind this one. It's only one. I can pull my nose for you. You know it is me. In fact, I can even bring, if you'll pardon me, I have here with me the mask that everybody has to wear these days. You can see that my ear is not bent, is it? You can see that it's normal, it's not bent. But the clown in Asorok, when he's wearing his own mask, you see that his ear will be bent like that. Mine is not bent. So it is the real me. And of course, I have this mark here and it's unmistakable.
Yes, I just wanted to establish that you are alive because I read somewhere that you were dead. And so I wanted to be sure I'm not making history by talking to a dead man in heaven.
Not at all. I'm here live with you on this program.
Fantastic. So could you tell me some of the books that you read that might have influenced you? I don't want to say radicalized you. I would say influenced you.
Growing up was, as with most of my peers, is Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. That is number one. Because it reminded us of who we are, where we are coming from, and where we should be heading to. So that very book was pivotal in shaping my understanding of my people and what needs to be done to rectify the damage that colonialism had done to our people. The second one I would say is Alex Haley's Roots. Again, in that very book, it reminded me or reinforced the need for the Republican zeal that burns in each and every Biafran, that we see ourselves as equal before any other race around the world, and our belief, cardinal belief, that all men are created equal before God. Given the heroic sacrifice those people made at Savannah in Georgia, in America, many, many centuries back. I also read Leon Uris's Exodus. It is about the Jewish Holocaust and the reestablishment of the State of Israel. Again, a very decent pointer towards where Biafra should be heading to. Those three books, Things Fall Apart, Alex Haley's Roots, and Leon Uris's Exodus. They're my three favorite books here.
I've read a lot about your religious beliefs, but could you tell us about your faith?
I worship the one true God in heaven that incidentally every religion on this earth believes, or should I say, worship as well. I believe I am a follower of Yeshua, Jesus Christ. I believe I worship where Jesus worshipped. I worship the same God that Jesus Christ worshipped. I praise the same God that Jesus Christ praised. And one of my favorite prayers actually was the prayer that Jesus prayed when he was asked to teach the disciples how to pray. And he said, "Our Father who art in heaven," which goes to confirm the supremacy of Almighty God in heaven, bar none, the name above all names. And it is exactly the religion of my forefathers. My ancestors worshipped God and God alone. We answer Wachuku. From the names we give our children, we glorify God. And if you go to my village right now, all you hear about Ikechuku or the Nakachuku, everything is about God. So I don't need to be tutored or to be told by anybody who God is, because God is ever present in our lives, and that is the God that I worship. Sometimes people tend to mistake it because the only modern interpretation of that very religion is Judaism. The only modern interpretation of this ancient religion is modern day Judaism. So that is why I tend to gravitate towards Judaism. But as I said, I am a follower of the teachings of Jesus Christ. But I practice Judaism in the main.
I was privileged to meet the late Chief Chukwuemeka Odumego Ojukwu in his lifetime. In fact, Ovation had exclusive access to his wedding, to his wife, Lady Bianca. What was your relationship with him? Did you ever meet him? And did you draw inspiration whatsoever from him?
Yes, he is our eternal leader. And that was the title that I gave to him in recognition of the very stellar work that he did, trying to save a people that didn't want to be saved. And also, I had come in contact with him in London. We invited himself, Peter Obi Chekwasokore, to come to London. That was in the year 2002, if I'm not mistaken. And I consider it an honor that where he stayed, the hotel he stayed in London, I paid for it. So I had sat with him on a few occasions and benefited from his immense counsel. The reason why we want to honor him by restoring Biafra. And only then will the whole world know in how much esteem we actually hold him. To us, he's an icon. To us, he's our Moses. To us, he is the forebearer. To us, he is everything. And Ojukwu to us, it means a whole lot more than people can ever imagine. And the few times that I sat with him and he spoke, he said a lot of things. In fact, the role that the British played during the war, he was the one that made me to actually realize what they did and the need for us to be very careful. The journalists that were interviewing him, especially from BBC, in their typewriters were, should I say, listening devices that were transmitting everything Ojukwu was saying all the way back to London. And that made it possible for them to sabotage that very effort, or should I say to undermine it, especially what transpired at Aburi, that we now have the tapes and records of. So I sat with him and I discussed with him, and it was very, very informative, very, very fruitful. And I learned a lot from him, something that will continue to guide me as we proceed on this very important and critical journey towards the restoration of Biafra.
Fantastic. Now we'll get to the area of my bazookas. Now it's time to fire a few bazookas at you.
Go ahead.
You've been seen by many as waging a war against your country, Nigeria, by seeking a Biafra nation. What led to your decision?
First of all, Nigeria is not my country. I was born a Biafran. My birth certificate reads Biafra, and no one has ever changed that. The fact that I was at some point or the other in possession of a Nigerian passport does not actually confer upon me their citizenship. I saw the Nigerian passport as a mere travel document because my birth certificate issued at the time of my birth reads Biafra. Nobody of a sane mind will condone or accept what is happening in Nigeria. I believe that genuine attempts have been made in the past to try to remedy the wreck that Nigeria is today, but there was a palpable unwillingness on the part of the powers that be to do something about it. I detest suffering and pain. I hate to see people suffer. I hate to see people in pain. The only thing that propels me, the only thing that drives me towards this very agitation is not born out of hatred for anybody, but a desire to test freedom in our time. Nigeria was not constructed by a Yoruba man. If it were, I would have perhaps accepted. Nigeria was not created by a Fulani man. If that was the case, who knows, I may accept. Nigeria was not created by a Hausa man either. It wasn't created by a Nupe man. It wasn't created by a Gwari man, never created by a Jukun man. Nigeria was not created by an Ijaw man, not created by an Ibibio man. Nigeria was created by a white man and named by a white woman. The name Nigeria means awful, bad, evil. It means nigger, which is a swear word, is a slur in America. If a white person calls a black person nigger, they might end up in jail. Then why should I answer a name that is abhorrent before God and before man? Nobody came from all these ethnic groups. They never got together to say, as from today our name should be Nigeria. A white man determined that. I cannot go to England and say to English people, I want to rename Liverpool. I want to give it another name. I'm sure they'll think I'm mentally, unstable and put me in jail. Now, the problem is this. Why should Africans accept the name Nigeria? It doesn't mean anything in Yoruba language, doesn't mean anything in Hausa language, doesn't mean anything in Igbo language, but yet we are Africans. So I see it as a relic, or should I say a vestige of racism. I see Nigeria as an abomination, not just before God, but before man as well. Those with common sense, that is the reason why I like Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara changed the name from Upper Volta that had no meaning to Burkina Faso. Now, I wonder why educated, very savvy and enlightened Nigerians cannot see it. You have half of Yoruba land in Benin Republic. Some are in Togo. For over 20 years, I have been a very vocal advocate of a Yoruba nation that will also encompass the Yorubas in Benin Republic and those in Togo, because they are Yoruba people. Wouldn't that be very wonderful? Why should white people come from Europe and decide that some Yorubas should be Togolese, some should be from Benin Republic, and some should be from Nigeria? You're a Yoruba man. What do you have in common with a Kanuri man? Absolutely nothing. But I can tell you, you have something in common with a Yoruba man in Togo. You have something in common with a Yoruba man in Benin Republic. Why should you see a Kanuri man as your fellow citizen in Nigeria and not a Yoruba man who lives just a stone throw from Badagry? So these are the anomalies that Africans need to sit down to address. That is why we have arrested development. That is why nothing seems to be working. because the convergence of these diverse values